I am Wes, modern mythology enthusiast and defender of the realm of toy collecting. This is Andy, my fearless friend. Fabulous secrets were revealed to me the day I powered up my dynamic mic and said, "Welcome to Fandom Power!" Andy became the mighty producer Andrew Dawe, and I became host Wes, the newest pop culture podcaster on the interwebs. Only two others shared this secret, friend of the show and regular co-host Hank McClocklin, and my lovely wife Kimberly. Together, we defend the realms of pop culture from the evil forces of toxic fandom. Why, hello there, everybody.
Ooh.
What's up, guys? It's Wes, Andy, and Hank after a short interlude. We missed you last week, buddy.
Hey, man. It was a strange week, but we're back.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad to see you back. Glad to know that all is well.
Oh yeah,
we thought you had.
Right. Yeah. Well, nobody out there in the sort of podcast world knows my real life, but I have had a track record of disappearing. So I understand, but I'm here. I'm good. Everything's okay.
Confirm.
Yes, sir.
Can
but
confirm.
No, I'm not going anywhere, baby. I'm with you to the end, ride or die. That
right
was
on.
a hiccup. Don't chalk that up to mistrust, in the immortal words of Hank Scorpio. That was just a phone call.
So listen, it's been a couple of weeks since the three of us have had a chance to sit down and talk. And so there's been some major entertainment news and releases over the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody got anything? Anybody got anything you want to talk about before we get into the meat of today's episode?
There's a couple of Black Series Star Wars figures that are just like, making me drool. I was trying to slow down.
Yeah,
and some of those Mandalorian figures, like that Ahsoka, and
I'm full speed ahead on those.
I know the Bill Burr, man, you guys,
Cobb Vanth,
they suck. They really
Cobb
suck.
Vanth is coming. Yesterday, I
know.
just saw one. The Gamer Greats Republic Commando.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really chomping at the bit for that one. So certainly that's my. Of course, I'm a Transformer fan, so I just saw Transformers Kingdom. I think it's going to be a leader class. Blaster is coming.
Nice.
I think
Crazy.
Late this year, early next year. Late this year, I think.
Crazy.
Did anybody get a chance to see Dune?
No.
I have not. No,
well,
I've heard great things, though. I've heard great things, though.
Okay, so it was just me that's seen it so far.
Yeah.
Apparently the sequel's already greenlit, so.
Yeah, within a week. A week of release, it was greenlit. So
two Dune fans who are not necessarily they were fans of the sort of miniseries, but not probably too young to really appreciate that the 80s movie was all we had, unless you read the books.
The David Lynch film,
right?
Yeah.
Both are like, this is a solid interpretation of the books, which is nice. I read the crap out of all the books in high school, and I was just like,
I only read Dune, and I didn't read it until my late 20s, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was a huge fan of the David Lynch movie, as critiqued as it is, and I know that it's a cult classic now, but it certainly wasn't on its initial release.
What's also fantastic, there's a documentary out there about the first attempt to make a Dune movie in the 60s.
Jodorowsky's Dune, I think it's called. Yeah,
that's a great documentary. People went insane. People went mad.
There was so much concept art that was curated for that documentary that it was just like, can you imagine what that would have looked like?
Oh man,
yeah,
absolutely.
It's pretty. There was a Sci-Fi Channel miniseries back in 2000,
right?
Got done as well, and
that was a lot more.
Certainly, that was
beat by beat.
Yeah, but I would have to say, as a fan of the novel, now this is where Dune, and this has been sort of the general reaction, I think, to the Denis Villeneuve, the new one, is if you were a fan of the book, there's a good chance you're going to be a fan of this movie.
Right.
And if you didn't like the book, you're not gonna like it.
Right.
And,
That's
no
sort
surprise.
of, yeah. I mean, that the second one stands to reason, but why would you go see a movie that you didn't like the book of? That, so.
No, I know.
And especially because there's probably
one
five
kind of
or
baffles
even,
me.
yeah, 5 or even 6 novels, means they could have their little sort of Star Wars or Marvel style universe of films easily. And
Right.
that seems to be the trend. We're all going that direction.
So there's Herbert obviously passed away several years ago, and so a lot of the books were oversaw by the estate by his son, and they were co-authored. Right. I want to say that it's Kevin Anderson was a co-author, or at least author on some of the later stuff. He gets a consulting credit on this one.
Crazy.
On the film. Yeah, it's really good. It's super, super good. I'll say this. I've been pretty critical of Jason Momoa as an actor, as much as I like him. Like I said about Aquaman, that Aquaman was just a chance for Jason Momoa to play Jason Momoa.
Right.
And that he wasn't Aquaman, he was Aqua Bro.
Sure.
Dune, this is the most, and I'm sure he's done other things that I just haven't seen that maybe are a little more, flexing his range, but this is the widest range I've seen him give in any role that I've seen so far, and I quite like it. So I'm quite happy to say that, because I was kind of thinking he was a bit of a one-trick pony, but not so in this one.
Nice. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I used to think the same thing about David Bautista until I saw the I think it's called Brownsville. It's a movie about how the United States has a second Civil War and the South invades Brooklyn. Right. And he's an ex-military guy, like, the standard sort of action story, but he protects a little girl through the whole movie, and it's phenomenal. I'm not sure that it's actually called Brownsville, but I'll send you a link after, because he is
also in Dune.
Oh yeah,
Dave Bautista is also in Dune. Yeah, so he's actually playing Raban of House Harkonnen. So
crazy.
It's a very different characterization of Raban, and again, the strong silent type. He's either over the top or he's saying nothing. And this movie is kind of in the dialogue for him is very minimal, but again, there's some real acting coming through in his performance that I can't say that I don't think I've seen this kind of acting from him before.
Yeah, no, perfect.
And again, it's it's really good. So if you haven't seen Dune yet, I highly recommend it. So I guess that kind of brings us up to today's episode, and I thought it would be a little bit of a fun thing to go back and have a look at. This week we got a couple of we got a couple of trailers. We had a pretty big movie trailer this week in the form of Pixar's new Lightyear movie. I don't know if you guys were aware that was coming out, Lightyear.
Yep.
Yeah, Andy, we were talking about this before, and there was some discrepancy as to whether this was going to be about the man that the toy is based on, and while that has some truth, you were saying that this is based on a movie within the Toy Story world.
Yeah, so basically, this would be a movie that, say, Andy would be watching on cable to get him into the action figures.
So I feel I'm disadvantaged because I read something that said at the end of Toy Story 4, there's a single line of dialogue from Chris Evans as the Buzz Lightyear character from the film.
Mm.
So I don't know if did anybody. I don't know if anybody can corroborate that. I didn't see it, so maybe
I've seen it and I don't remember.
So there's a Chris Evans tweet which is like pretty on the nose, in which he says, just to be clear, this is about Buzz Lightyear the man, not the inspiration for the toy. So that's that kind of is suggestive that it's a real life thing.
Trailer.
You might get something meta, like the actor within the movie being the guy. So
I honestly, watching the trailer, and I've only watched it once. To me, I thought this was like super, super futuristic. Like, if this is based in Andy's world, like, is there time travel involved? Because space exploration apparently has come a long way.
I don't think I've seen a Toy Story movie past the second one.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You're missing out.
Wow.
Part 3 is heart-wrenching.
I'm so we've of course, having a grandchild now, we go back and we revisit this stuff all the time. And
right.
Going back and watching the original Toy Story and then jumping ahead to say Toy Story 3, and it's like, going from your Xbox Series X to your PlayStation. There's such a drastic change in the textures and everything else that goes along with CGI. So.
Toy Story was their first one, was it not?
The first Pixar film?
Yeah.
First feature, maybe.
Feature length.
Yeah. I know the little lamp character.
Yeah.
The swing arm. Was a part of a short film, I think.
Yeah.
So the other thing that happened this week, in fact, the very same day as the Toy Story trailer broke, we get a new trailer from the good people over at Netflix, and they dropped the Part 2 trailer for Masters of the Universe Revelation, the Kevin Smith led show. And I know we didn't actually talk about Revelation, the first part. I think we were kind of elbows deep into the Bad Batch. I think we were.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to come back and talk about the show because to me, it was really good. Like really, really good. I have really no complaints about it.
Like from the original trailer for Part 1, it was like,
right.
Oh, I can't wait.
The marketing on that was just so... I mean, I had the same reaction watching the Part 2 trailer. I was literally like mouth open. And I'm not going to lie. I may have Kevin Smithed it and had a little tear. It was that good. It was that good for me. But Part 1, as good as it was, really was divisive in the fan community. And we've talked about this before. I think this is a good opportunity to bring it up again and just kind of talk about how vitriolic and how just nasty people were about this series, certainly Part 1. Now, Hank, you've just gotten caught up on Part 1.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess I have to admit the first time I checked out after episode 1, they just killed He-Man. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not the biggest fan of this franchise anyway. Certainly I'm fan enough.
Right.
So I have no expectations or, I don't even remember the old show all that much. I might be able to name 5 of the action figures, but it's not, I was always more sort of Star Wars and Marvel. So
right.
I have nothing to lose. And so when I sat down and I actually watched it last night, it's pretty fantastic. It hits all the little feelings that from the old show. So it gives me that little itch. Right. And, but I guess maybe the best part for me is watching my wife watch it, because she's a huge fan. So it's, I don't know how to say it. It's like, when people watch us watch our favorite things, there's a thing that they see about us that they don't normally see. Like, because we become children, right? Like, or very innocent and very pure. So watching her, because she's not the Star Wars fan or the Marvel fan, although she's very close with Marvel and stuff, but watching her be just a gushing fan for 2.5 hours was the highlight of it for me.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I always wondered how that went over, because that, by and large, is one of the biggest criticisms of the show, was that, as you say, first episode that killed He-Man. And so now you've got a show that, now I don't want to get pedantic about it, but really the show is called Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Absolutely.
It's not He-Man.
Right.
It's not He-Man in the Masters Universe like the original series.
That's
this
correct.
Is Masters Universe. But I think part of the major criticism was, how do you have a show about He-Man with no He-Man?
Mm-hmm. And it's still about He-Man. So you got to watch it to the end. I mean, I'll admit it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a journey, and every journey has a beginning, then it has a middle, and it has an end.
Right.
Now we've had the beginning, and we've hit the middle beats, and we're about to get to the ending here. The whole journey for Tila, I don't think it was a surprise for anybody that when they announced that there was going to be a new Masters of the Universe series that was going to be serialized, it was going to be about Tila. What other, like, were there any other multi-part storylines that anybody can remember other than the teaser that, you know, the sorceress was Tila's mother?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember there being anything else. So naturally, that's one thing that you want to
see.
Because the Filmation show never had a chance to bring any closure to that.
Yeah.
All right. So that being said, did you guys catch some of the comments surrounding
the new trailer?
The old ones, part 1.
Yeah, I tuned them out after a while. It was just, how can you hate this?
A lot of stuff was people excited about the trailer, but then having felt like they were betrayed by watching the show, because I guess the trailers were He-Man heavy. But
they absolutely were.
See, I've learned from my failure at the cave, if you will. Like my propensity to want to shut down WandaVision taught me a lot because of how much I really liked the payoff. So I'm willing to sit through a little bit of uncomfortableness, you know, like to get to the payoff.
Right.
Like if anybody's seen Squid Game, you have to sit through a little uncomfortableness before you get to there's a payoff and it's worth it. It's kind of cool, you know? So, yeah, that's kind of my new worldview when it comes to entertainment. I'm trying to be as objective as I can early, because I know that, that, you know, if you read the first chapter of a novel and didn't like it, but it, you know, everybody's telling you it's the greatest novel in the world, but it doesn't pick up till chapter 5, you're going to not get the greatest novel in the world. So, I mean, yeah, we got to be patient with these things, and absolutely,
right.
Typical story structure is, you know, beginning, middle, and end. And also Kevin Smith is up there with the greats that do this, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are more familiar with his films, but he wrote for comics forever. And some like the Green Arrow stuff that he did, the Daredevil stuff that he did. Yes. Solid stuff. So yeah, like, no, I'm excited to see, you know, that was almost the draw for me, was to see how Kevin Smith would interpret. Right. You know, like if I'd like to see a Kevin Smith Star Wars movie. Jesus.
So here's a search on just the backlash surrounding part 1. And I mean, this is YouTube. I mean, take a look at some of these titles here. Revelation is a disgrace. He-Man is ruined. Kevin Smith's Frankenstein monster. Fans are furious. Revelation gets destroyed. Reviews are in. Audience score review bombed. And so, like, this is right up there with, you know, we talked about this before, the same people that said, you know, when Captain America said, you know, Hail Hydra, that they ruined their childhood. You know, that's the same kind of response that we're looking at.
Right. Or the Last Jedi response.
Oh, yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
One of the problems is that people are certainly entitled to their opinion. And one of the problems with that now in this digital age, where everybody has a forum to put their opinion out, like some people might not like what we do. Certainly you can choose to tune out.
Yeah. But
it's harder to tune out when it's it seems like a massive effort. And
yeah.
It's one of the things about the world that like weirds me out, like that we are sort of almost as a species more prone to destruction than creation, but it's like both are in our nature. And so building things seems more logical to me than tearing them down. So if you don't like something, try to build a bridge to it to find what you don't like and find the things that you do like, rather than
that you do like. A
really good Vile, my buddy Vile, man, he listens to this podcast all the time, like religiously. It's called Your Favorite Band Sucks, and these two guys tear apart every band. And I'm like, but why do you want to listen to about how bad you think? Like, wouldn't you rather listen to like a show about how good your favorite band is? Like,
right.
Am I getting that across? Like, why are we tearing things down when we could be building them up? And why are we not, instead of silencing comedians and things for poking fun at why aren't we silencing people who are just tearing things down for the sake of tearing them down without without any reason or rhyme.
We touched on this in our Toxic Fandom, episode, and the whole gatekeeping thing. And I'd said before that, I think for the most part, for the, ordinary, rank and file, rational human being, the aspect of gatekeeping comes from a good place. It comes from that sense of like, we want to covet this thing that we love, and we treat it very tenderly, like it's our own, like it's our baby.
Right.
And I think people just become possessive of that. And
Certainly.
To some degree, like my friend Jason, who'd been on the show before, said the same thing. Like, once you put something out into the world, it kind of does become, there's a certain amount of ownership that the fans, assume on that.
Right. I think it's all about sort of emotional intelligence and being able to separate yourself from what's your intellectual property and what's something that you love. And what we do is, and all three of us have done it, is we've integrated someone else's sort of intellectual property into the very fiber of our being. So that when, like, I can actually let sort of Star Wars and Marvel comics and hip hop and stuff almost define me.
Right.
Or try to find myself within those things. And I think that's what human beings do. But when you lose perspective, like I think it's a very slippery slope to own someone else's intellectual property and then not be able to disconnect yourself when the time comes.
Yeah, I don't think I could have phrased that any better.
Yeah. Don't get lost in it to the point that there is no you and there is only it.
Right. So we got a great comment here from one of our Facebook followers right now that says, looking forward to part 2. And man, I want a bizarre love triangle between Man-at-Arms, the Sorceress, and question mark.
It's going to be Fisto.
Certainly. So you know what? That there is some credence to that. Certainly going back to the Filmation series, it was strongly suggested that not only is Duncan Tila's adoptive father, but he may actually be her actual father, that she being the Sorceress and Duncan actually did have a romantic relationship. Fast forward to the Mike Young series, to the 2002 series, and that there was a slight retconning there that Fisto is actually Tila's father, but
he's Duncan's brother.
Yeah, Fisto is Duncan's brother. So that may in fact happen. And of course, Fisto does feature
in the trailer.
He shows up a couple of times in the trailer, and we're going to get to the trailer here shortly because we're going to watch it together. We're not going to show it because we don't need another copyright strike on our channel.
We're trying. We're really trying.
But I just want to close it off here before we get to that, and I want to go back to the vitriol and the fan outrage, and I just want to contrast that up. Now, I started putting the episode together earlier this week, so this is a couple days old, but I just want to focus in here for a second. Here is the announcement from the man himself, from our showrunner, Kevin Smith. He's talking about, here I'm going to share the trailer with you. And, if everything goes well, part 1 did really well. If part 2 goes really well, there may be a season 2. But I want to bring your attention down here to the reactions section here. We've got 3.4 thousand reactions. And let's flip over here because I got a better breakdown of that here. Of those 3,400 reactions, over 3,000 of them are likes and hearts. And 2,300 and 943. So if you put those two together,
there's some really positive response.
This is not indicative of the vitriol and the fan outrage that came out of part 1.
No.
There's another statistic to look at too, and I don't have the statistics, but the other statistic would be to see how fast those negative YouTube videos get hits initially, and you'll start to sort of see why people are doing that, because it's a trend. And when it starts to snowball, you're going to get thousands of hits on your account, regardless of what you're saying initially. So if you jump on that negative bandwagon, and there's already
the bandwagon,
right, and that's exactly what's happening. I don't even think that half these people are genuine. They're just chasing this dopamine like thing, like rather than putting out content. They're putting out content that gets them the reward, not content that is like fulfilling their artistic right.
That's a great word for it
Andy,
too.
yes, sir. And that's, man, I'm weird today. Philosophical.
We've talked about this before. We've made jokes about the clickbaity lines, you know, to try and get those views, to try and get our reach a little broader. But I don't think we've ever produced any content that was intentionally set up to be clickbait.
No, or divisive, or to trick you.
To say,
I really like being at face value.
Me too. I think it's part of that, you know, being a hobbyist as opposed to being, you know, somebody who does this, you know, for an income. You know, that has to play into it.
I have a sample on my EP that I released last year, and it's Dave Chappelle saying, "I hope this doesn't make me famous." Because the thing about famous people is you don't know if people really like you for you. So I know every single person that watches our show likes the show, and not because 15 other thousand people like the show that they're going to check it out, which is a nice place to snowball to. But I know at this point right now, after a year of shows, we're genuine as you can get.
I think so. I think we're right where we're supposed to be in the universe as far as our little show goes, and we'll just keep chugging out content that appeals to us, because certainly if it appeals to us, there's going to be other people out there that are going to jive on.
And that's what I've heard. It said in this age of sort of technology and the short distance between people, every single human being has a fan base now.
I think so, to some degree. I think that's 100% true. Yeah. If you're just joining us now, first of all, welcome back to the show. Glad to have you along. Today we're talking about Masters of the Revelation. Wow. Don't stare at your notes, Wes. Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2. Part 2, everybody. That's coming up here in
just going to be short couple weeks.
Yeah, Monday, November 22nd.
Crazy.
Only on Netflix or wherever you pirate your entertainment from. Not that I endorse piracy of any kind, but it's coming November 22nd. We're talking about the season 2 trailer here. We're going to take a quick look at that. And for those of you who are following along, if you want to queue up the Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2 trailer in your own browser and watch it with us, you're more than welcome to, as we're going to play it quietly here in another window, and we're going to react to that. And then once the trailer is over, we're going to come back and we're going to kind of talk about what we saw here. So
takeaways and notices.
Yeah. So I think we've covered sort of the fan outrage part. I'm just going to close that section off by saying this. This trailer came out and I had like a huge emotional reaction. And the first thing I did when it was over, other than tell my wife, you have to see this, is I went on to a small a Canadian Masters Universe group that I belong to. And somebody had already posted the trailer there. And I said in the comment section, I said, I see this trailer as a giant FU to all the Part 1 haters.
Yeah.
So it'll be curious to see in the coming days, in the next couple of weeks when the show drops, if the same fan outrage is there or if anybody is going to flip on this. Because I kind of think, man, you wanted a show about He-Man, and I know that the marketing for Part 1 was He-Man heavy, and so is this one.
Right.
But I really think the Part 2 is going to deliver.
Yeah. Yes.
For a couple of different reasons. So why don't we take a look at the trailer right now? We'll react to it here in real time, just so we can keep the algorithm from giving us trouble. And all right. So here we go. We've got Cosmos. We've got a shot here of Eternia. Some crazy cosmic energy going on here, and we got a big pullback here to the galaxy. Skelegod here with the Sword of Power. Cool reflection in the blade there. Talking about some dynamic sort of grand design to the universe here, but then he says there's only power. That's cool. Hero shot of Grayskull. Oh, Man-at-Arms facing off. Oh, new sorceress. Evil Lynn is the sorceress with a bat cowl. Duncan's in trouble. Looks like he's a prisoner of some kind. Teela's tapping into her powers here. Oh, and look at that. The big reveal. Adam is back.
So he was just nearly dead, not all the way dead.
King Randor here is looks like he's leading the charge there. Oh, we got Shadow Beast come back. Now that's something cool from the original series.
Mm-hmm.
Now look at that. Skeletor apparently is not too worried about his own minions as he just went through a bunch of them. Okay, so look at this. I don't get this, and I think this is super exciting. Is Adam here is going to turn into He-Man without the power sword?
Well, this could harken back to part 1, right?
But then look at this. We get this like savage barbarian He-Man, and like he's the size of the Hulk.
He looks like the Hulk.
He's massive.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. So there's Teela now. Like by that point, I assume that she's already the sorceress because she's just called out to the citizens of Eternia to show up and fight in this big fight.
Yeah.
And I mean, we get the big battle shot here, big battleground, kind of Lord of the Rings style epic battle. And it looks like you've got like farmers and stuff in there. We get a shot of Zor there, the Falcon, which we know is the sorceress in her alternate form that allows her to leave Grayskull. Now we got He-Man's about to lead a charge against a bunch of shadow beasts, and he's telling the farmers to get behind him.
Right, and it's not Hulk He-Man. It's not Hulk He-Man.
No, it's regular He-Man. So we know he's going to get the sword back.
Classic Wind Raider.
That's a Talon Fighter.
Oh, sorry.
Talon Fighter. Yeah.
You're right. My brain.
So this shot here, the For Eternia He-Man on the back of Battle Cat, you can't tell me that that's not going to be everybody's screensavers coming up here.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a big moment there. We got Scareglow has come back from wherever he was banished to, and that means that Orko is back as well. Wow. So for a trailer that is a little less than good Lord, it's under 3 minutes.
Yep. Just over 2 minutes.
There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there. And that is exactly what we're going to do. I hate doing stuff that's like kind of canned like that, but it's the only way I think we could have gotten away with doing that. All right, so we're going to go through the trailer. I think I broke it down into 50. We're well over 50 images because there's so much in there. And I've in our last, when we did the Fandom episode last week, some of the trailer shots, I put them up in the order that I thought they were in, that made more sense for the way that we deliver our show. This one, if you watch it enough times, and I mean, films and TV are notorious for doing this, putting things out of order. So what I've done is I've sort of arranged the photographs in the order that I think they are happening chronologically. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I
could be way off base here, but
we've only got 3 minutes of potentially
3 minutes
2.5 hours.
Absolutely. Hang on here. We got a comment here from Eric. Thoughts on the other He-Man series, the Super CG one, after the trailer breakdown, of course. I know, Andy,
I've got some thoughts on that one.
You've seen the whole thing. Now, I've seen the first 5 episodes. I'm not done yet, so I really can't comment on the series as a whole, but initial thought, what I've seen so far, I like. This show was not made for me.
No.
But I can see how kids would love it. And there's a part of me that is thoroughly enjoying it. So we will talk about that when we get to the end of the trailer breakdown. All right. Let's move back over here. So let's talk about Castle Grayskull for a second. There's our Grayskull there. And that, to me, looks just like the image that we got for the part 1. Like if you look at the big title card that came out back for part 1, that looks to me like they've just pulled that from that like it might be their stock animation for this.
It could be. Maybe it's their nod to reusing some parts, just like Filmation.
Well, isn't that a big thing? That's something that just is Masters of the Universe centric, is this like reuse. And I mean, in the toy world, it happens all the time, right? Parts reuse. So no surprise there.
Yeah. But speaking of the toy world,
big difference this time around is when last we saw Skeletor, Prince Adam was dead. Skele God, as he is now referred to, now that he has the power sword, had ran the pointy end of the Havoc staff through Adam's chest, and we think that all is lost as Adam lay there dead.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that was one of the criticisms of part 1, is because the toy technically spoiled that moment.
Here's the thing, right? So this is the other big criticism. Not that I want to go back to the criticisms of part 1, but like, not only did they kill Adam once, they killed him twice.
Yeah.
2 times in the course of 5 episodes.
And the other thing that they did when they released it was that they put the little sort of short, the interview with Mark Hamill, out as a teaser. And I thought, I didn't realize that it was like literally they're going to discuss what just happened at the end of the last episode.
Oh, right.
So Skelegod was revealed to me before I even watched one episode because I was interested in the Mark Hamill interview. So they actually, they tanked that.
For us as toy collectors, you think that we would be used to this by now because Lego has been spoiling the MCU for over a decade, right? So, this is no different. We had the reveal of the first wave of action figures before we had any animation to look at.
Yeah.
And one of the first wave figures was the Skelegod figure, of course, made by Mattel.
Right.
And as soon as we saw that, it's like, wait, this is some kind of crazy Skeletor. And why does he have the power sword? So I mean, that was a major plot beat for the whole thing, right?
I don't know about the rest of you, but that was one of the first ones I saw in Canada.
Yeah, I mean,
I still haven't seen a He-Man yet.
I've seen He-Man once. I've seen Moss Man once.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen Evil Lynn once. I haven't seen any of the other figures yet.
She's up on Toys R Us right now.
Is she?
I've only seen the retro stuff.
There's a new retro He-Man that's just come out. The exclusivity with Walmart on that line is up now. So they're going wide release. And part of that wide release is the He-Man is going back to shelves, but he's going out with a retro head that looks much more like the vintage toy. So if you like the Origins line and you didn't like the weird, they tried to give him a cartoon-ish head. If you didn't dig on that, then maybe the second release He-Man is for you. All right. So Skeletor is now residing at Castle Grayskull. And we get this, him looking at the sword here. I pulled this out because I love this reflection here in the blade of him sort of ruminating on there is only power.
Well, at this point, he's won.
Yeah. No, absolutely he has, right? I mean, he went on in the opening line about this, what I would call the illusion of a cosmic grand design, but he learns that the real secret of the power of Grayskull is that there is only power. And that brings into question, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but given what we saw later on in the trailer with Adam, there's the line of the sword was just the conduit, but the spark was always me. That fundamentally changes everything we know about the power of Grayskull and how it works.
Does it though?
On some level it does.
Because he's gone to the afterlife. He's conversed now with all the previous
He-Men of the past. Yeah.
And in bringing them into continuity, that does mean the spark passes, right?
True. Maybe it's me and I'm just so linear thought process was it's the sword. I'm having maybe it's just me not able to disconnect my brain from without the sword, there is no He-Man. I mean, it's the only reason that Skeletor, it's the only visual reason that we have why Skeletor was able to access the power.
Tap into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because now it's like a double-edged sword. Like you can tap into the power of Grayskull with or without a sword. So does that mean that the power of Grayskull is sensitive to the wielders of it?
Maybe.
Like, is it? I don't want to use the what's the word? Is the power of Grayskull more akin to the Force?
Mm-hmm.
Where there's a semi-sentience about it.
So Adam has the Metachlorians.
Adam has the Eternachlorians.
There you go.
Is that what we're going to call them now? The power of Grayskull is now referred to as the Eternachlorians.
Eternachlorians. It could be like...
There we go.
Remember, the old Captain Britain from Marvel Comics had to carry the sort of weird mace. And he had a sigil.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't use his power without the sigil until he learned that the power was actually never tied to the sigil. It was always within him.
Is this like the same trope from Thor Ragnarok, What are you, Thor, god of hammers?
Right.
Well, even back in the comics, right? Like when he was the Donald Blake thing in the original Infinity Gauntlet
with his cane.
Yeah, he had to be holding it to wield the power of Thor.
Right.
And there's one scene where he dropped, like the hammer gets away from him and he turns back into Donald.
He reverts back into. Oh, okay, okay.
It changes over time, right?
That certainly is not the case in this. I'm definitely. I am super, super curious to know if there's going to be some exposition behind that. Not certainly in the moment, but like around that. Other than like, is there going to be more than just that line? The spark was always me. I mean, I can accept that, but you know how I am. I just give me more. Give me more.
Maybe it's technically given away in that moment because he turns into a savage He-Man.
He does turn into Savage He-Man.
That's not exactly a refined, warrior looking thing. It's just
no.
Or perhaps
this is power.
Perhaps this is the first time that anybody's ever wielded it without the sword, because he's the first one to ever come back from Preternia. Maybe there's something also special about that.
Eric says that the sword is the key and the wielder is the lock. I guess so. Sure. Although, again, the whole Skeletor being the lock thing, I don't know. It's so meta. I just don't fully grasp it, but I am looking forward to it. That's for sure.
And the loincloth is the keychain.
All right. So Skeletor, along with the new sorceress, Evil Lynn, in her new bat cowl, which, by the way, is wow. That has got to be one of the most gorgeous animation models going in the entire show. I really dig this version of the character.
And really kudos to them for not just taking the easy route and taking her into like a raven or a crow, which, back in the 80s, that's what they would do. They would just recycle the figure.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. With the sorceress being Zor.
Yeah.
I mean, black.
They had.
Exactly.
Right. So the toy line actually did that. The toy line, there was an evil bird, and it was purple and red, and its name was Screech.
Yes.
Right. So,
but I'm thinking just take a sorceress action figure.
Oh my God. Yeah. Just do a repaint on it.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And she's now assembled the evil warriors, and there's a line from her that she says that the buffoonery of the past will no longer be tolerated as she's assembled the evil warriors. There's some familiar faces in there. Of course, in the front row, we've got Spikor, Clawful, and Beastman. And then in the back row, there's a couple faces there that you might not be familiar with, which is kind of cool. You got Webstor sort of in the foreground there. Webstor was the spider-like character. The action figure actually came with a grappling hook and a sort of a pulley system backpack that you could have him climb up it. It's kind of cool.
I really like the 2000 version of him too, though, where they leaned heavy into the spider aspect
with the extra arms and yeah. Kind of like the Iron Spider.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing we got going here, and I'm going to draw your attention. First of all, we're going to go right to the back, and you're going to see the little diminutive character there. He's wearing like a purple sort of tabard. He's got a long sort of headpiece, and his face is mostly covered. So I did some poking around, and so this is kind of cool because we're told that this is a canonizing of the character of Pig Boy from the 1987 live action film with Dolph Lundgren. So if you're not familiar with Pig Boy or the 87 film, that's Pig Boy there. He's holding the Havoc staff. He's passing it off to Frank Langella's Skeletor there. What's really, really cool about this character, or at least the live action character, is this is a character that was Mattel ran a contest back in 1986, and it was to win a walk-on role in the live action film. And so this 8-year-old kid, Richard Sponder from Chicago, won the contest from Mattel to get a walk-on role on the film. And so there's Richard on the film set, hanging out beside his own director's chair. You can look this up, guys. There's an interview with him out there that talks about his memories from this, and he had a super, super cool experience because
no doubt
he was on the on set for like 9 days, and they didn't really have a role for him. They didn't know how to fit him in. And so when you think walk on role, you think like dude crossing the street, kid running away. No, they finally came up with this role where he was going to be part of Skeletor's entourage. And so he actually gets a film credit as that character in the film. But he got like, in the interview I read, he got something like Mattel had actually contacted him and said, wanted to know which action figures did he already own. And Mattel coughed up everything else that he didn't already own, including the 87 live action figures before they went to Street.
Very cool.
So that's cool. As a kid in the 80s, that would there's no topping that.
No, absolutely not. So that is that's your goat, or not goat. That's your Pig Boy, your 1987 movie connection. So the show has already touched on the 87 movie back in part 1. The flying, I call them the flying manhole covers. Those are sort of a nod back to the 87 movie. Now, the other character in the back row is this guy with the ram horns. And his name is, believe it or not, Goat Man. Goat Man. So up until now, Goat Man has only ever had one other official appearance in any Masters of the Universe media, and that was back in the 1985. Remember the little golden books, little kids books?
Awesome.
So he showed up in a little golden book. This one, The Secret of the Dragon Egg, and there he is there. So here's a character that's never had. What's cool about Masters Universe, right, is a lot of the experiences that kids had with Masters Universe is discovering those characters in toy form
before you ever
saw them on TV. And so here's a guy that, true to form, has never had he has had an action figure, but it didn't come until Masters of the Universe Classics, not until 2014. And in 2014, they finally did an action figure version of Goat Man.
Nice.
So now Goat Man, or Clacky, as his real name is,
finally got a name,
is going to be in the series. And what's cool about his this character and his species is, according to the lore established in Classics, is that his species is one of the few intelligent species that are subjective to the hypnosis of the Beast Men. So it'll be interesting to see if any of that happens over the course of our new series. Right. So when we last saw our heroes, we were in the main chamber at the bottom of Castle Grayskull, and that's quite literally where the series ends. It's pretty bleak. So I presume that the next series of slides that we're going to take a look at are going to sort of detail the escape. I mean, because they've got to get out. I mean, they've got to get Adam's body out of the castle somehow. We get a moment here between Duncan and Tila, where it looks like they're making more amends than they had by the end of part 1. Because I know when she left the Eternos Palace, she was pretty pissed. And who can blame her? What did she say? She's like, the people who are closest to me, you've lied to me my entire life. And then she's like, I'm done with you, all of you, and then leaves. But I think what's going on here, and I could be wrong, is Duncan, being who Duncan is, knows that they're not going to make it out of Castle Grayskull unless somebody causes a distraction.
So this could be okay, I love you, now get the hell out of here.
I think that's exactly what it is, because the dialogue that is played over the trailer during this scene is, thank you for being my daughter, but now you have to be something more. I think that's what it is. There's where is it? Yeah, thank you for being my daughter. Now you need to be something greater. That's what he says. And he puts himself between, I presume, between Tila, Andra, and Adam's body. Puts himself between them and Skeletor. And, there's a typical Duncan shot. But it doesn't go very good. It's not going to go well for him, because this part of the trailer, Skeletor actually just crumbles the sword under his grip.
Yep.
And then we get this sequence here. Now, he's in a cell, and here comes Evil Lynn, who's going to torment him to some degree for whatever's happened there.
And do you think this could be a throwback to the original Grayskull playset with that little tentacle coming out of the bottom?
Is it Grayskull? I guess it would be. Yeah,
there's the little grate at the bottom. It's a sticker for the original. But
it is. Did you see that for the Origins Castle Grayskull? There's a set that they've just released that they've molded that.
Yeah.
In a 3-dimensional,
along with the Spirit of Grayskull.
And the robot suit.
Yes. But they've also named it.
What are they calling it?
I might be getting this wrong. Orlax, maybe?
The suit?
No, the tentacle.
Oh, the tentacle. Oh, okay.
And in part 1, the weird tentacle beast, did they not also call that?
Maybe. I don't remember. I mean, the vintage castle, I mean, like you say, it was just a sticker that you stuck on the ground, and that was sort of the end of it. I'm not really sure. If anybody out there knows what we're talking about here and has the answer to that, I'd love to hear that. I had this big, talking about revelations, I had this big revelation the other day when I went up to my wife and I said, it's really weird when you acknowledge and accept that you don't know what you don't know. Completely unrelated to what we're talking about today, but
the Dunning-Kruger effect. Right? Everybody go Google the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yes. All right. So like I said, I kind of put these in the order that I think they happen. And I just want to talk about this for a second, because I think Mark Hamill and Kevin Smith basically went out and said, I know that the trailer shows you think you're seeing a lot, but Kevin Smith said that he says, I promise that this is only just a very thin sliver of what's to come for part 2. So I kind of get the feeling that what we're seeing here early on, the stuff in the castle, is probably early on in the series, if not the very first episode.
Yeah.
And then I think later on, when we get to the big climactic battle,
is probably
I kind of feel like that's probably the finale, or much later on in the episode. But there's a lot of things to get through before we get there, where now Duncan's been taken prisoner. Teela's got to go and get Adam's body out, or maybe it's Andra who goes to take Adam's body away, because Teela has this moment where there's a line from her is, the only way we can stop this sorceress is with another sorceress. And so I think that this may be, while Man-at-Arms is fighting Skelegod, I think this is Teela skulking around. I think she's still in Grayskull at this point. And if you remember, part 1, there was that pool at the bottom, pool of water.
Yeah.
Did we see that? Because look here, she ends up diving into the water, and we can see the whatever that energy is goes into her head, really, right through her forehead. And then we see this with the whatever that sigil is on her forehead lights up. And it's the same sigil that we see at another point in the trailer when she attempts to revive Prince Adam. But if that's the case, we had to get here before we could get to Prince Adam. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think we've lost Hank. I think he dropped out.
Uh-oh.
All right. Well, the link is there, and he can jump back in sort of on his own when he's ready. Oh, here we go. Kim says the Octobeast was a creature in the dungeon of Snake Mountain, and that's what I had wondered as well. I wondered if maybe that was the case. Welcome back, sir.
I don't know what happened.
How you got booted. I don't know why you got booted out of there.
I don't know. It my window was still open. It just closed on my phone. I opened it up, and there I was again. I don't. It's a new phone.
You let go of the sword, didn't you?
I probably. The power was not within me. It was in fact within my bubble. You tried to put
the two halves of the power sword together backwards.
Yep.
Who knows? Octobeast was a creature in the dungeon of Snake Mountain. That totally makes sense. And I had wondered, was it Grayskull or Snake Mountain? Because I know Snake Mountain had some other stickers.
It was just like a little grate and a bunch of stuff trying to get out of it.
Yeah. Thank you for answering that. But we were just talking about Tila, and how in order for Tila to get to the point where she can revive Adam, she has to tap into that power, whatever that power is. And of course,
she's got to level up.
This is, and here it is. We've got to get to that point where Tila embraces her another
destiny.
Star Wars, her destiny, magic. And becomes the new sorceress. Yeah, exactly. There's no other way to say that.
The whole first season, she's rejecting her birthright, essentially. She's
absolutely
turned her back on,
but again,
the magic of Eternia because she's jaded, and now she realizes that.
I know that they part 1 made a joke about that, where Duncan was ready to like dish and give her the full, full disclosure, and then she's like, nah. It's like, it's played for a laugh, like, not right now.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh. You're like, should have just said it.
So possibly there will be more to that conversation than just, thanks for being my daughter.
Well, okay, and that's exactly what I was going to say. That takes us back to here, where like there's got to be more to that conversation, because what reason would she have to go off and try to tap that power if not the revelation that the sorceress is her mother?
Well, she's received a hint of it when they went into Scareglow's realm in part 1. But she still didn't understand it.
There's
yet,
right? Because she already had a moment in part 1 where that three line sigil had already lit up, and she had done something. I don't remember what exactly she did. Somebody said, "Who are you?" It might have even been Skeleton.
I think it was Scareglow.
Yeah, Scareglow.
He was trying to, get the fear out of her, and he's like, wait, who are you?
When they were in Subternia.
Yeah.
Right. Just before they
lose Orko.
Oh, yeah. Before they hop through the gate to Preternia.
Yeah.
All right. So, as we were down there, and I'm going to go back to this. Again, these are so not in the order that they appear in the trailer, but the water thing was a big clue here, because there's a moment where we see Zor blasting out of water. So, I mean, I don't want to say that that's Tila, but come on. Who else can that be?
Maybe the sorceress is reborn.
Yeah, in the form of her daughter.
Or it could be the ghost saying, here, take the power.
Entirely possible. I don't think that we're going to see a restoration of the original sorceress, no. or Tila Na, I think as she's referred to in the original. Then we get a second shot of Zor here, nice close up of the head and the beak, and then we get this. It's so fast, and I mean, I even put the playback speed on the trailer right down to like quarter speed, and I could not get anything better than what we're seeing here. But I suspect
very Phoenix-like
that. Well, exactly, like the way that they limbed Jean Grey. I feel that this is a very similar thing, where I think at the center of that, if it's not Zor the bird, it's Tila the sorceress. And I'm not, and this is where I'm kind of off. I'm not 100% sure if this is in sequence with the other two images. It may actually be a little bit later on, and I'm going to explain that when we get down to it. But then the trailer moves away from the castle, and we get a shot here of there's Tila and Andra and Cringer, and I think that this is back at the Eternos Palace, judging by the gold railing. And I think this is her, accepting, that this is actually the part of the trailer where the line of, we need another sorceress to stop a sorceress. That's actually where this image comes from. So like I said, it's way out of place, but she finally, I think, is admitting to herself as much as she's admitting to Andra. And Andra is an interesting character in this, because it makes sense for her to have that conversation, because Andra, if you're paying attention to part 1, Andra is us, the viewer. She's our gateway into the world.
Yeah. So
it just makes sense that she would confess that to Andra. And then we get the resurrection. Yeah. So I mean, you can see in behind them there, see the gold trimming on the dome there, and that's why I say that I think the other image is at the Eternos Palace. Sorry, what did I say? I missed one. There we go. She's tapping into her power now, and she's going to try and bring back Adam. So we see the big wound in Adam's chest starts to close, And that brings me to question sort of the ending of part 1, in the sense that, are they going to do the he wasn't, the Miracle Max? He's not dead. He's mostly dead.
It's possible.
We're going to pull a Miracle Max and say that Adam didn't die. He was just on death's door. But if we hadn't have got to him any sooner, he would have been gonzo, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the sorceress was ever powerful enough to resurrect. I don't think we ever saw a case of a resurrection in the original series, or anything even remotely close to that.
No, nobody really died in the original series.
No, not really. No. If you guys can remember anybody dying of violence in the original series, let me know, because I do not remember.
Sort of the D&D version of the G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Adam wakes up quite suddenly, and then we jump ahead. Now, these two are in order, because we see Adam come back, and then the next thing is we've got this round table meeting in the Eternos Palace with the royal family. We've got King Randor, Queen Marlena, and then Adam around the war table with
Teela's still off.
Yeah, Andra, Cringer just off in the periphery, and Teela hiding out in the corner there. So
maybe King Randor has come around now that his son is alive again.
Well, when he banished Duncan, he was not. I mean, this version of Randor is not the buffoon king from the Filmation series. And he's not quite the warrior king from the 2002 series either. He's certainly, he's definitely more serious.
Mm-hmm.
But we got that reveal in part 1 that he had no idea that Adam was He-Man until Marlena basically said, no, we just lost our son. And then that's when he kind of got triggered. And my curiosity around this one is there some resolution between Duncan and the king?
I would say at this point, no.
Well, I mean, at this point, I just presume that Duncan is still a prisoner.
Locked up, yeah.
Is there going to be... So here's one for you guys. Do you think that Duncan is going to survive this part of the series?
I think so.
I didn't screen cap it, but there's a shot of Andra later on, and she's wearing Duncan's arm cannon. Do you think that because Teela is going to become the new sorceress of Grayskull, that Andra may in fact become the new man-at-arms or woman-at-arms?
Maybe.
Because that role has to be filled by somebody.
Yeah, I was thinking that, because it's one of the best ways to sort of up the stakes and to take a legacy character, but he's a sort of a natural... I mean, we already took the sorceress, right? But to take a legacy character... he's like a natural selection guy. Like he's old. He's about to pass on the mantle anyway and retire, kind of thing. So,
right.
Again, gravitas, take his life and up the stakes.
And it's a great way to do it. I'm just going to take a look at Andra again here. Color palette wise, Andra is not that far off from Man-at-Arms with the gold and green.
Mm-hmm.
Where Man-at-Arms is kind of orange and green.
Right.
Mind you, she is an Eternos Palace guard per se. So it's no surprise that she would obviously be wearing green, as they all kind of wear green. But it does seem like a natural fit if you're gonna pass the mantle, and sort of where the cards are gonna fall. I do think that she's a natural fit to take up that.
And
that
even
mantle, I guess.
It may be like if Duncan dies, it may be Teela's mantle to pass.
Right, because she was about to be named.
Right.
In the first episode, she was going to be named Man-at-Arms.
With her having to choose,
that's true. Yeah.
She has to choose to become the new sorcerer, and it's like, well, I'm going to need a Man-at-Arms then, and then so her dear friend and who's been proven, and that, like you say, that makes the viewer Man-at-Arms, which is a very neat sort of. It puts the viewer in the action.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective to be in. Yeah. So Adam says in the round table, he's like, we're all going to have to fight, or we're going to have to fight. And clearly they don't get a chance to do that, because we get this. Skelegod, along with his the evil warriors, it looks like they're attacking the Eternal's palace, and they get in, they breach the defenses.
Room.
Yeah. It does look like the throne room too, doesn't it?
Yeah, with the big tapestry there.
So then we get this. Yeah. Now, I don't know what that smoking body on the left-hand side of the shot there. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a minion. Like, I know later on we see that there's a bunch of shadow beasts. It definitely looks beast-like.
Right.
It could be one of his Skelcon minions. It's got a horned helmet there that it might be a Skelcon. But there's this sequence here where they're laughing at each other. Ha 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 ha. And then it's like, what are we laughing about? And that's when we get that other big aha moment where Adam says, the sword was always the sword was just the conduit.
Yeah.
But the spark, that was always me.
It's interesting that the two girls are on their knees in that scene. He's like defending the throne. Even Cringer looks like he's actually not cringing, but about to take a leap.
He does. Yeah. He looks like he's ready to pounce.
The two femme warriors are on bended knee.
Strange that they're, I don't know what the circumstances around that are, why they're on the floor that way, but
this is just interesting.
We're definitely going to find out.
Yeah. He's come in and, bow to me. And
right. And Adam
says no.
Here it is.
Right. And the other thing is that he is a prince. He is a prince. I mean, are they, deferring to him? I don't know. That's a pretty weak answer, to be honest. All right, and after the spark, the cool thing, and I didn't get it in the photos because you can't see it in still images, but like the hand gesture as he raises his hand is almost identical to the way that he would do it. Yeah, with the sword. And I thought, oh, that's so good. They really, really put a lot of thought and consideration into how they delivered that, and it was just so. I think that's the moment where I was like. It was like that moment in the Rise of Skywalker trailer when you saw Rey flip over the TIE aggressor and you're like, holy crap. It was that like, whoa. Then we get this like explosion of power and we get, my God, we get Savage He-Man.
Yeah.
And Savage He-Man is not a new concept by any means. But I mean, the reveal of this character, look at the size of him.
He's 10 feet tall. Like, you could see Teela beside him on her knee, but still, if she's 5'10", he's 10 feet tall easy.
I know I joked about it when we were doing when we voiced over the trailer, but I mean, he quite literally is the size of the Hulk.
Sure. Looks like Khazar looking Hulk. What if Khazar was the
Hulk?
Yeah. Big raw power just bursting from him, and
it's very much a Hulk-like pose too. Like no surprise. And I mean the vocalization you get in this scene where he's like, it's this just big brutal like he's power unbridled. What's cool about this is it is a direct callback to the original mini comics, which if you were a fan of the original mini comics, you know that those early issues were not in any continuity with the television show at all. They basically, the comics were a pack-in with the action figure to sell toys, and that's where we established those concepts like the original play pattern of two halves of the sword to open the door to Grayskull. And the concept of He-Man was just a barbarian that wandered out of the jungle.
Yeah, to help people.
Right. And so this is a direct callback to that original idea for He-Man, that he was this, barbarian. And he doesn't actually get his powers from the sword. His power comes from the harness that this character, this is actually the original, the sorceress from the mini comics who would later be retconned to become the goddess, as it were. But that's a whole other thing about toys, right? You reusing the idea that Teela came with that snake armor. If you took the snake armor off of her underneath, she looks like Teela that you see in the cartoon. But you put the snake cowl on and you put the snake staff in her hand, and then she's supposed to act as this other character, the warrior goddess. And so it's the warrior goddess who becomes the sorceress of Grayskull, per se, that gives He-Man his gear. And it's the battle harness that basically gives him like a force field, I think it is. Yeah. Again, it's a character that, I mean, you could conceivably strip the armor, the harness and everything off of He-Man, and you could get that version of the character. But once again, going back to Masters of the Universe Classics, what year was this? I don't remember what year it was. They did this figure, and they gave him a name. They called him Ular. Ular.
Not to be confused with Molar.
Molar, the attorney and dentist. It'll be interesting to know or to see if I don't think they're going to give that character the name Ular in the.
No.
I mean, it's Adam.
It's just a nod to all the people that,
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, this is your Savage He-Man, right down to the rope for a belt on his on the fur trunks. All right, so the trailer continues on, and we get into this like epic beatdown between Skelegod and Savage He-Man. And I mean, this they've moved outside now. Somewhere in the fight they've moved outside, and Skelegod is going to blast him. But apparently that doesn't matter, because I mean, he just rolls through that like a freaking freight train. And yeah, by the time he gets there and makes contact, it's a 1-2 punch, and Skeletor looks like he goes down for the count.
Got him on the ropes.
Cool to know though, like this whole sequence takes place at the Eternals Palace. Skeletor has been to the Eternals Palace before.
Yeah.
So it'd be curious to know how that plays out. Like, what is the prompting for Skeletor to attack the palace? Clearly, I mean, Skeletor has always been motivated by, power begets power, and he wants more of it.
Well, once he's controlling Grayskull, does he just want to, make his set complete?
Well, here's the thing, right?
Or are they going to touch on the whole Keldor thing?
That would be an interesting twist if they actually do a Keldor thing. I was thinking, though, at the beginning of the trailer, you have that image of like Eternia, and then there's the two disparate colored, there's the orange power and then the purple power kind of enveloping the planet, and it sort of, there's a yin yang kind of vibe, like there's a cosmic balance. And I think what happens here as we get into sort of the third part of the trailer, the climactic part, is we see Skeletor wielding like a crazy amount of power. And he says a line towards the end of the trailer where he's like, look at the sky, it's all going to end. And I think that speaks to, because as we know going forward, that He-Man is going to get the sword back, and he'll revert to his more refined look. And I think it becomes this case of like he said at the beginning of the trailer, there's no cosmic, there's nothing holding the fabric together. It's just all power. And I think it's a case of, if I can't have it, nobody can.
Right.
And he's just going to go for broke and just destroy everything. That's just my thoughts on it. I it could be wrong, but it seems like something that a maniacal villain would do.
Yeah, certainly not out of character.
Yeah. So we move into this, what I call the final battle, I guess, which I honestly think is going to be towards the end of the series, if not the final episode.
Yeah.
And now we do get a very different Randor. He's all in his battle armor, and he is sounding the charge. We see Eternia and Palace guards. It's cool. They are wielding the rifle from the Castle Grayskull weapons rack.
Yep.
Nice.
That's really cool. And he's back. Look he's backed by like farmers and citizens,
the people of Eternia.
Right. So we've got that overdub from Sarah Michelle Gellar saying, people of Eternia, we need your help.
And it definitely does have that, this is the final battle. Everybody has to turn out.
It really does. And then on the heels of that, in the dialogue, right after that, there's a line from Evil Lynn talking about chaos. And she's like, I couldn't really hear what she said, but the last line of that is, and we will all return to chaos. So as Tila, who I'm going to go out and say new sorceress, has telepathically summoned all of the good guys, did Evil Lynn telepathically summon all of the bad guys?
Makes sense.
I kind of think that's what's going on there.
If you're going to have an epic final battle, you need everybody.
Right. And another callback. This is right back to Filmation, which is kind of nice. Shadow Beasts are back. Yep. And those were they were in a couple of the original episodes. They also got an action figure in Classics. So it's kind of cool. The Shadow Beast and Randor are about to square off, but before the Shadow Beast can like pummel him, it gets shot in the chest as we get some air support here from the Talon fighter. And in a blink and you'll miss it moment, which I really, really love this. It's Queen Marlena. She just saved her husband's bacon. And I love this scene because it's a big callback. This is a huge callback moment to Marlena's Earth origin as an astronaut. So I really, really love that. And again, going back to the toy world, to those figures that we never got, Classics actually did a version of Marlena in her astronaut form. And they went so far. They actually did a really cool thing. They gave her the last name of Glenn, as in John Glenn, that she would be a descendant of. Yeah, John Glenn. So this is Marlena Glenn in her astronaut costume, which is kind of cool. It's solid green, so it's a nice. I think the two are a nice callback to each other. All right. So, in the final battle, there's another big reveal, and that is Scareglow is back.
And he's out.
So when we last saw Scareglow in the bowels of Subternia, Orko was holding him back so that Evil Lynn, Tila, and Andra and Adam could make their escape out to Preternia. And by the time that scene concludes, not only has Orko wrapped him up in some very stylized O bands, there's a line of whatever spell he cast, a banishing spell, Demon Be Gone. At the end of the spell, when the mists subside, there's an explosion. So, I mean, we were left with this, like, are they dead? Did they go somewhere else? You're not really sure, but I think from the perspective of the other people in the room, I think to their way of thinking, they just saw Orko die.
Yeah, because when they get into Preternia, all you see is like this little floating piece of fabric, right?
Right. So, I mean, no surprise here with the return of Scareglow, which, by the way, it's not going very well for Randor, as Scareglow just melts the sword right out of his hand. Randor gets knocked to the ground, and I mean, it looks like Scareglow is about to deliver the death blow with his halberd, and this little red piece of fabric launches in and basically pulls the halberd out of his hand. So easy to infer from that, if Scareglow has come back, so has Orko, which is cool because he was really, really sick by the end of part 1, and like he was dying.
Well, magic was dying on Eternia.
Well, exactly. So, and then you get that line from Orko, you guys are in trouble now. And I don't think that's, I know that they put it over this image, but I don't think that's in reference to what's happening here. I think it's probably in reference to that He-Man is on the scene
when
now.
He finally gets his sword back.
Yeah, I think so. And we know that he's going to get the sword back because we see him during the final battle much more akin to his traditional form, where he's now kind of like, in this scene, he's calling the warriors to get to safe positions. And the lady with the pitchfork behind him, she says, there are no safe positions. And he comes back with, well, there's one behind me.
Yeah, that's a good line, actually.
It's super, super cool. Yeah. Cool little hero shot here. We've got the Avians and the Andrenids working together, which is it's kind of cool because if you're a fan of the lore, Buzzoff and Stratos are the respective leaders of their people, the Andrenids and the Avians, respectively, and they don't necessarily get along. They, as leaders of their people, are trying to bridge the gap, but the two societies, they don't work together. They don't they don't get along.
And in the 2000, it's revealed that Webstor and Skeletor are actually pitting them against each other for their resources.
So it's cool to see them here. Now, I don't know if this is actually supposed to be Buzz-Off that we're looking at, but it's definitely an Andrenid. And then we do get a little bit more to that shot, and we see Stratos fly into
little beard and all.
Yeah. So we've got this that overdub line we talked about, Sarah Michelle Gellar calling out to the people of Eternia for everyone to show up, and along with the Andrenids and the Avions, Uncle Fisto, Daddy Fisto, I don't know how he's going to play. Fisto shows up, which is cool. Ram Man is on the scene as well, in his full regalia, and his full ramminess as he bounces off the wall here,
complete with springy legs.
Yeah. So here's an interesting, so here's He-Man and Battle Cat leading a charge of some kind, and in this sequence, there's a dragon that's about to breathe on them, which is kind of cool because dragons were used like super sparingly in the original series, but this dragon here essentially is going to breathe fire on them. But Battle Cat essentially spots the incoming fireball and stops, leaps over the fireball and onto the dragon, and defeats He-Man defeats the dragon. And we get this hero pose. Now the dragon crashes in behind them, but I mean, this is the one where I'm like, how many guys that's going to be their screensaver like from now on?
Yeah. For Eternia.
Yeah, this is the big For Eternia moment. Let's go back and talk about dragons though for a second in lore, because as I was saying before, the dragons were used like really sparingly,
and they were used briefly in the 2000 as well.
Yeah,
but it wasn't our normal dragon friend from the Filmation.
Well, that's my question too. Is like in some of the Masters of the Universe lore, there was a big war between dragons like centuries ago, and the fallout of that, we have a character by the name of Granomir, and Granomir is the most powerful dragon on Eternia. He's like the Dragon King. So my question is, if the dragons are involved, where is Granomir?
I mean, they're giving nods to everything else. It'd be weird if they didn't give him one.
Well, and this is the thing too, right? So if we go back to the Tila summoned all the good guys, Evelyn has summoned all the bad guys. Why did the dragons side with? I presume it's the same thing like people. Some people are good, some people are bad.
In the 2000 as well, did they not fall under the control of Beastman?
That could very well be, and in fact, that makes perfect sense.
Because I think he was the one, doing it, and then when they freed him, they're like, thank you for freeing us from that.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to blow up Castle Grayskull.
I know Granomir shows up in the Filmation show, four times?
Something like that.
4 episodes. And he's got this like ethereal quality to him where he's aloof and like he's almost like Smaug-esque kind of in that sense, where like he's into what he's into and like everything else is kind of trivial and beneath him.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it's the battle is this pitched, if it's the end of the world, which I kind of think that's the stakes we're looking at here, I can't see Granomir not being involved.
Yeah, throwing in one way or the other.
Well, this is Granomir as we saw him in the Filmation series. He's red here. But the original mini-comic Granomir, who looks almost the same as the animation model, was green. Fast forward again to the Masters of the Universe Classics toy line, and of course we did get a Granomir figure. We got 2 of them actually. We did get the green version. The green version I think was a Comic-Con exclusive, San Diego I think. But the red one, he was a regular subscription add-on. I think he was. Right.
He was big too. Proper scale.
Yeah. He was to scale with the figures for sure. So I guess we're going to keep going here with the final battle here. So now He-Man has gotten past the dragons. It looks like there's some more. I don't know if those are dragons flying around in the background.
It's quite possible.
We get some sky sleds up there with some Eternian guards.
possibly chasing off smaller bat-like people.
Yeah.
Which would make sense, because dragons wouldn't really run from sky sleds.
So I mean, now we're looking at our traditional He-Man, our classic battle harness with the power sword, and there on the other end of the battle here, there's Skeletor still in his Skelegod form. So losing the power sword, it obviously does not remove the power of Grayskull from him. So
he's either got to relinquish it or have it taken from him.
I guess so. At some point, though, Skeletor is going to unleash this like rage. I call it a rage blast. I don't know what it is. This is that part about where I kind of get into the if I can't have it, nobody can have it. So I'm just gonna like unleash pure hell and havoc on everybody.
Yeah, but like look at the scale of that. There's still thousands of people battling around.
Exactly. And speaking of that, here I think this is the same energy ball from another angle, but those are like his own minions. Like he has no regard for for the help that he's enlisted.
And that is totally in character, though, still.
It totally is. Well, the interesting thing here is that, to me, it looks like there are two distinct energy effects happening here. In the background, we have this purple energy ball, which I believe is this one with the red center. But there's also a cone effect in front of that.
Really similar to what was shooting up through Grayskull.
Here's what
or what the sorceress appears in.
Does it not? Yeah. Does it not look like the energy signature that we see sort of around the Zor sequence?
So it's possible they may be like coinciding. Like Rage Ball happens as Sorceress appears.
I feel like this is her. The other thing is these Skelcons. I don't know if you can make that out. There's some like stalagmites on the ground there. Could those be teeth? The teeth of the Jawbridge?
Could be.
Is this Teela like interposing herself between this energy ball to stop it?
Sure,
quite possible.
It's sort of her story.
I kind of wonder if that's what's happening.
Yeah,
absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
So she's definitely got to make a save at some point.
Absolutely,
I think so. I mean, she's got to have that big reveal, whether it happens before then or it happens at that moment. But if you're going to do it in a time of crisis,
all must be lost and somebody jumps in to save.
Yeah. Like the take one for the team moment.
Yeah.
But of course she's going to stop it.
And also sort of hearkening back to our discussion about Duncan, he's nowhere present sort of at this battle.
No.
We don't see him anywhere.
So he's either still trapped or being dispatched.
Right. I wish I gotten that shot of Andra with his arm cannon now, and I didn't. But now that you say that, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. Be right back. Just 2 seconds, fellas.
Want to go? Yep, for sure. I'm just going to keep going here. We're gonna talk about Skelcons here for a second, because this is another deep dive into the lore of Masters of the Universe. We saw Skelcons in part 1.
Yes,
and that's what they look like. Now they're these blue minion guys. It's almost like they're I don't want to say horse skulls, but
cross between a horse skull and a maybe bird.
Yeah. Now
maybe Skeksis like.
Almost. Yeah. I don't know what the deal is here. If these are, if we're to infer that they're actually a species of creature, but the origins of the Skelcons, or that they were this like minion army that Skeletor had, and they were masks.
So it could be anybody.
They could. Yeah, they totally could be. They originally showed up in one of the Ladybird children's books. That's their first appearance there. We never did get an action. We did get an action figure. We got it much later on. Again, Masters of the Universe Classics, which really was a line that was dedicated to producing the widest number of Masters characters ever. And at over 300 characters, it's still the longest running Motu line yet, or the biggest diversity anyway. The Skelcon action figure came very late in the line. He came as the driver for the Classics Roton, which has got to be one of the worst vehicles in Motu. I hate the Thing.
But hey, they gave it a nod in part 1.
They did, yeah. With
so many toys got a nod in part 1.
Yeah. Didn't Triclops?
It was one of them.
Yeah, I think he was walking on one or riding on one.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us sort of to the end of our trailer, where we get to that point where
For Eternia.
Yeah, For Eternia, and Skeletor kind of closes it out with that look at the sky. It's all going to end, and then as it closes down, we get our big splash, only on Netflix, November 23rd, which, by the way, is a Monday.
Oh.
Which is kind of weird because Netflix was doing their big Friday releases.
Yeah, because I know they were trying to get away from the conflict with Disney Plus's Wednesday stuff.
They did not want to overlap.
So
right.
So I know that was a little disjointed look at the part 2 trailer, and I know that it didn't flow quite the same way as the trailer. But like I said, I tried to rearrange the images in the order that I thought that they were happening, which creates obviously some gaps and holes. But if I were a betting man, I would say that we're looking at stuff from maybe the first episode and the last episode. I don't think there's much else in there.
There's another thing in season 1. Some of that, there were flashbacks to the heyday of He-Man. So it's possible that some of that regular looking He-Man stuff could be flashbacks to the heyday.
That could be as well. I kind of wonder if we're going to get any more appearances from the He-Men of yore. You know, Adam is the only one to ever leave Preternia. Is this big enough? Are the stakes big enough to pull more of them out? Do we need more of them to come out?
Well, at the very least, you could have your Rise of Skywalker moment where all your past ones come in and say, go forth with our
maybe
blessing.
That's it. Maybe that is it.
And they also tell them, if you die, when you go back, if you die, you return.
You may not come back,
right? And so, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
He's comes back from the dead twice now.
Well, and here's more sort of a reason to suggest that maybe he didn't die at the end of part 1. Maybe he was just
Skeletor has bad aim.
He's just also bad.
Right.
Skeletor missed all the vital organs.
It's entirely possible, as he went through the center of the chest cavity where your heart is. All right.
There's a horseshoe in that loincloth.
There definitely is. So that is our Fandom Power look at the Masters of the Universe Revelations Part 2 trailer. What do you think, guys? Are we...
I'm excited for it.
I am over the moon for this one.
I like part 1. The trailer there got me hyped up, and this has done the same thing for part 2.
Yeah. Where are you, Hank? I know you just got caught up now.
I'm sort of I'm just pretending like I'm a new fan. So I'm not going to not watch it. I'm not as invested as the two of you guys, but like I said, you guys make me excited for stuff. Lauren's making me excited for stuff. Good. So it's, I love to be a part of the, I think I got stuff to say that's relevant, even if it's, as a fan of being a fan of things, right? And I'm super conscious not to tear things down if they don't need to be torn down. There's critical analysis, and then there's just hating something for no good reason. So season 1 was certainly a great ride. It subverted expectations. This trailer looks amazing. And so, November 23rd, that's what I'll be doing.
As will a lot of us, I think, in the fan community. There's going to be a lot. I will definitely be keeping my finger on sort of the pulse of the fan reaction when that first or when those 5 episodes drop. And I'm inferring that it's. I can only assume that part 2 is going to be another 5 episodes.
I would think so.
I don't think it's going to be less than that.
Yeah, they like those sort of formats.
I know when DreamWorks and Netflix did the Voltron thing, those seasons, they kind of varied in length. Some were 6, some were 8, and they kind of went all over the place. But
same with the Netflix She-Ra. It bounced around episode count too.
That as well. So now let's just change things up for a second here. I know Eric had asked us sort of if we'd talk a little bit about the kids show, the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Now, Andy, you were the only one who has seen the whole thing. You've got the full lowdown. You wanted to touch on that?
Sure. If you are a fan at all of the original, give it a chance. Like, it takes it in a whole new direction, but there's enough nods to what you already know that you're not lost. And like, they take elements from the 2000, from the mini comics and stuff, and put it in there, and it feels normal.
I know that up till episode 5, where I think the villains have just inhabited Snake Mountain, and we're just getting the full reveal of Trapjaw. But before that, I'm looking at the green guy, and I'm like, is that Kronos?
Yes, yes, it is.
And it is. Like, so there's enough familiarity there. At least for me, as a fan of both the toy line, the 2002 series, the Filmation series, there's enough familiarity in there that I was able to sort of pick out kind of who's who in the zoo.
Yeah. And it's different enough that, a kid coming into this will not be overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that's come before it.
No, I don't think so.
This is a great starting point for a new generation of fans.
The idea that, the original Filmation series really leaned into that, our friends are going to get in trouble. He-Man's going to show up and he's going to save everybody. But this show does it a little bit differently, where it's like we as a group of friends share the power and we help each other at the same time.
Yeah.
Sure, the supporting characters, Man-at-Arms and Tila and all the supporting characters did their thing, but ultimately it was about He-Man saving the day. Whatever the antagonist of the week was, you knew that at the end of it,
you're going to form Voltron, and that's going to be the end.
Anybody.
Right.
And so that's exactly what the Filmation show did. To my way of thinking, this new series, the kids show, does it a lot different. The supporting characters have a far more active role in the action.
Yeah. You got to depend on your friends when you need help.
That's right. And they do some things that are really, really different. Like, like Cringer was originally cringy. Like, he was the scaredy cat. They've done that. They've taken it a different way this time, where now Cringer is actually a
more of a father type role.
And I mean, is he not the leader of the tribe?
Yeah, he's the leader of the tiger tribe.
Right. Plot twist: they took his claws away.
Big plot twist on how that's actually done. So I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Don't spoil, because I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, so it but it really connects everything in a way you didn't think was going to be connected.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
like I said, I'm 5 episodes in.
Yeah, I super enjoyed it. I almost enjoyed it better in some ways, because I'm not as invested in the whole. Yeah, I absolutely loved the animation. I was a huge fan of the animation. For me, it's like, why are we sticking with that 80s style stuff when we can do what the Clone Wars has done? And this steps into that boundary for me. And if I had to drag on anything about the Kevin Smith one, it's that the animation could be way better. And I know that it's trying to stay true to the 80s
That's
stuff,
fair.
But the animation could be way better. And this animation is top notch in the kids version.
Yeah, I think so. I think so as well. The Kevin Smith one, it shares like it has a quasi anime quality to it.
It's kind of like the Filmation and the 80 or the 2001 blended together. And
that's a perfect way of describing it. I think that actually, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. Did anybody? I know you did, Andy. Hank, did you give any thought towards the Netflix She-Ra and the Princesses of Power? Did you watch that?
No. No, sir.
You didn't. Okay.
No. I was too busy.
Well, that would
watching
be an interesting
My Little Pony
conversation
reboots.
to have.
Yeah, no, not my wheelhouse.
I made an analogy to the kids Motu as with My Little Pony. I think they are very much akin to each other.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, I hope that satisfies your curiosity on our thoughts into the kids He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And to everybody else, I hope you enjoyed this episode where we've just taken a look at the Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2 trailer. I guess before we close off, let's do some of our usual perfunctory stuff that we like to do here. As you can see, guys, we're in new studio here. Yeah, Andy calls it the Saw Cave, and I'm kind of digging on that. So it's pretty cool.
I love the lighting.
All the way from our yeah, me too. I'm gonna try and dial that in a little bit more, but I'm very happy with it. So we've upgraded on our streaming platform. So now we should look a little bit better now, and certainly our reach is much larger now, as we can stream out to several more locations now, and we are. Do you have? I don't even know how to. We're now on Twitch. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but we are now on Twitch. Now, how can they find us on Twitch? Oh. It's under our production name, isn't it?
It is.
Fans of our YouTube channel, you guys know that all of our shows air on our YouTube channel. That's Sawcast Productions.
Yeah.
And I think that's the
embedded
way
on Facebook still
as well. Well. We are embedded on Facebook, but
we're waiting for it to come to Canada, though, so Americans can get it now.
Yeah, so
perfect.
Hopefully that integration hopefully that integration will come sooner than later.
On Twitch TV, we are Sawcast_Productions.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to make a play as I did in our last episode, and just ask that if you like what we do, and presumably the 4 or 5 of you that are watching, you do, because you've come back to join us, please share with your like-minded friends. Pass them along our YouTube channel, especially our YouTube channel, because we really need your support to get over that threshold. And I don't want this to sound like it's about the money aspect of it, but the sooner that we can monetize the channel, the sooner that we can invest into more gear, better equipment upgrades,
higher quality product,
produce better looking videos for you guys. Not that I'm not content to produce at the quality that we are now, because I think for the size of us, I think we're doing just fine. So
I hope so.
Once again, thanks for joining in with us this week, guys. There's some other stuff coming up in the near future that I think we should lean into. We covered the DC Fandom. We've got another one coming up here that I want to discuss, is the Disney Plus Day. Disney Plus Day is basically the fandom for Disney. It's going to be all the big Disney events,
Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar properties.
Yeah, and there is a lot coming. There's been so much buzz in the last 2 weeks about what's going on over at Star Wars, especially surrounding Hayden Christensen's return on both the Kenobi and Ahsoka television series.
Right.
Which, guys, is going to be lots for us to talk about.
Oh, man.
And it's not going to be long again. It's not going to be too long before we're back into our beat by beat review series, because Book of Boba Fett is coming up fairly soon.
Yeah.
I want to say that's coming in what?
December 29th.
Or December.
December 29th.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Compliment from Kim. Aww. You guys are awesome. And I feel like that is a genuine comment, and I will accept that from my wife.
Yeah,
I love you too, honey. Thank you for being my biggest fan.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you for being my biggest fan. After me. No, that's so self-centered. All right. But you guys know we love what we do, and we do it because it's fun, and we hope that you guys are having as much fun with us as we are with you. So until next time, guys, for Fandom Power, I'm Wes.
I'm Andy.
I'm Hank.
From 5 seconds ago.
Are we doing that again?
All right, guys. I don't know if we are or not. Maybe. Catch you later, guys.